What is tzedakah usually translated as? What is Jacor? How many times did Jesus tell St. Peter he must forgive? In which parable does Jesus teach about the importance of forgiving others? Which human rights is denied by the death penalty? Give an example of censorship. What are 3 ways that Catholics can express their religion? And what do Jewish homes usually have attached to their doorposts? So as like before, we'll say 2 to 3 minutes to complete these questions. Obviously pause the video and we'll continue after you've finished, okay? Okay, so moving on then, what I will do is I'll put the YouTube link onto the workbook for you to look at your leisure. Okay, so the video clip looks at, can money buy happiness? Can we gain it through material goods? Or can you gain happiness through giving generosity and being a better person is really the focus of that video. Okay, so as I said, I'll put the YouTube link onto the workbook for you to look at your own leisure. So nicely moving on then. So the knowledge phase. How is wealth distributed in the UK? So in the UK, the bottom fifth of the UK population have 8% of the UK's total income. The top fifth have 40%. So obviously we can see from that figure already that is a massive difference. Income and wealth in London and the South East is considerably higher than in other areas of the country, for example, the North East. The top 10% of the population hold 45% of the wealth, and the bottom 50% have 8.7%. In 2014, it was reported that the five richest families in the UK were worth more than the bottom 20% of the population. The UK government redistributes wealth through the tax system. This means that everyone has to pay 20% of any income earned between 12,500 and 50,000. Earnings between 50,000 and 150 are taxed at 40%, and anything above is at 45%. These taxes, along with the national insurance payments used to fund the NHS and community charge to fund local councils, are used to pay for public services such as schools, the police, and the benefits for those unable to work. In this way, the government redistributes the country's wealth to make our society safer and happier. As you can see, the wealth is not evenly spread out across society, however, and some people are much richer than others. So, the wealth can be acquired in different ways, through working for a business and receiving income. Some people start their own businesses, and some of these grow and become extremely profitable. Some people inherit wealth, maybe on the death of a relative. A few people get wealth through criminal means, for example, fraud or drug dealings. Obviously, that's a few people, the minority. And some people get wealth through activities such as gambling. Okay, so looking at these statistics and looking at this information, we can see there is a huge difference in the way that wealth is distributed. Okay, the government do try to make it fair by taxing people and ensure that we can help everyone out in society. But we want you, like listening to what I've just read to you, we want you to really think about how wealth is distributed across the UK and how other people may be struggling more than we are. Okay then, so the consolidation phase, what I'd like you to do is highlight one way in which the distribution of wealth could be considered unfair in the UK. Highlight how does the government try to make distribution of wealth fairer? And do you think it's fair to try and redistribute wealth? Okay, and write about 2 to 3 sentences on this. Okay, so as we did before, just pause the video. I'd say for about this one, it'd take you about 5 minutes because obviously you've got to look at the statistics, you've got to analyse the actual text this time and really look at it compared to me just reading it to you. Okay, so 5 minutes, pause the video once again and I'll join you back in a minute. Okay, next stage then is the knowledge phase. So what is the difference between relative and absolute poverty? I'll read some of this to you and then you can read the rest of it yourselves. So, poverty means not having enough material possessions or income for a person's needs. Relative poverty means that a person falls below the standard of income or possessions that is expected in a certain society. When we talk about poverty in Britain, it is usually relative poverty that we are referring to. So in Britain, the welfare state ensures that almost everybody who needs help and support receives their basic needs of food, shelter, medicine, clothing and education. As well as the welfare state, people in Britain also give charitably. So, a report by the Charities Aid Foundation in 2015 found that the UK was Europe's most generous nation in terms of charitable giving. In 2015, 75% of UK adults donated to charity, and that was completed compared to a worldwide average of 31.5%. Oxfam indicates that there are 2 million malnourished people in the UK, with a further 3 million at risk of malnourishment. They state that food poverty is on the rise with increasing numbers of people relying on services like the food banks, where they can get parcels of food and other essentials. Obviously, we've seen that now through the pandemic. A lot more people are having to use the food banks to get themselves through this challenging time. Okay, you can read the rest now of this knowledge phase that I've just read to you. Okay, so you can read from the top again. And then we'd like you to do the consolidation phase. So in the text above, highlight the answers to all these questions. What is relative poverty? That's what I've just read to you. What is absolute poverty? How are these types of poverty different? Highlight one sign of poverty in the UK. Highlight a way in which food poverty is being tackled in the UK. And highlight ways in which people have tried to end poverty. Which of these do you think is the most effective? And write 1 to 2 sentences to explain your view. So again, I'll say what to do again. So read the information that I've just read to you once. I haven't read it all to you, so you're going to have to read it again yourselves. Then whilst you've read it, highlight the text and answer the key questions in the consolidation phase. There's quite a lot of information here and there's quite a lot to take in. So we'll say 5 minutes. So pause the video once again, 5 minutes, read the information and we'll move on in a moment. Okay then, so moving on. The application phase. Describe how the SVP tries to alleviate poverty in the UK. So we're going to read the case study below. We want you to highlight the what is done by the St Vincent de Paul Society, and for each what, highlight a wider explanation of how they do it. An example here is done for you. So, SVB is a charity in the UK, and I'm going to read out this to you. Our aim is to tackle poverty in all its forms through the provision of practical assistance to those in need. The concept of need is broader than financial hardship. So visiting people who are sick, lonely, in prison or suffering from addiction is also a significant proportion of our work. The essence of our work is person-to-person contact, and spending time with people is our greatest gift. Our 10,000 volunteer members, motivated by their faith, are committed to meaningful and long-term befriending. Inspired by the message of the Gospels, they seek and find those in need and offer them sincere friendship. They visit them in their homes, in hospital and in care homes on a regular basis and offer additional practical support such as food, furniture or financial help where needed. They also organise trips and events for older and isolated people. We offer friendship and practical help to all we visit without regard to faith, ethnicity, status or sexual orientation. Our core friendship service is complemented by additional areas of activity, community support projects, including community shops, furniture stores and advice centres, youth work, holiday provision and overseas aid. So in order for you to do this, you're going to have to look back at lesson 2 that was in your workbook, lesson 3 and lesson 4 and lesson 15. Find teachings to show why the SVB do the work that they do. Put your what, why and wider together in 3 paragraphs and add a wider right an answer to your question. So we're wanting you to look through your notes from before, so the previous lessons that you've done, okay, in order for you to answer the question above. Describe how the SVP tried to alleviate poverty in the UK. So we've given you some information here. You've also got it in your workbooks and previous learning. So remember the formula, your what, your why and your whyders, and that you'll find that through your previous workbooks and the information we've just given you today. So that is it for today's lesson. Hope you're all keeping well, and I will speak to you next week, I am sure. Take care. Bye-bye.